He sat on a park bench, his coffee long forgotten, gazing at the leaves drifting down in October's calm where gravity reigned and time flowed unhurriedly. His mind was blank. That was the purpose of the bench. Every Saturday morning he sought this refuge, a place far removed from his apartment, the office, and the grief he had been carrying for 2 years. Sometimes he forgot it was grief, mistaking it for his new reality, the essence of who he had become. Lost in thought, he was jolted when 4 small girls in matching green coats and olive beanies halted before him. The closest one pointed to his arm and uttered the words that seemed to freeze time. "Our mom has a tattoo just like yours." He turned to the girl, then glanced down at his forearm, where the ink had been etched 11 years earlier, an uncommon design he had sketched himself during a night of unexpressed emotions at 27. It was a personal mark, not merely an aesthetic choice. He felt immobilized, taking in the little girl's curious stares which held the patient intensity of children waiting for an honest response from an adult. He replied, "Your mom has the same one." The girl corrected him, saying, "Not the same, similar same. Her bird is different, it's landing." A stirring sensation rose in his chest, something he couldn't articulate right away. "What's your mom's name?" he asked. Just then, a woman's voice called from behind, "Girls, come here please, right now." He looked up to see her approaching quickly from the playground, her long hair trailing behind her and her face reflecting the alarm of a parent who had lost sight of her children for a brief moment, contemplating all that could have gone wrong. She reached the girls, instinctively placing her hands on the nearest 2, ensuring they were all accounted for. Their eyes met, and she focused on his arm. Though the park buzzed with life, children laughing, a dog rustling through leaves, the city humming with its usual sounds, something shifted in that moment. "Where did you get that?" she asked. "I drew it 11 years ago and had it done by a guy named Marco on Clement Street," he replied. "Marco retired," she stated. "I heard that," he acknowledged. Their eyes locked. The 4 girls watched them with the keen curiosity of children sensing something significant beyond their understanding, yet too engaged to be bored. "I'm Nora," she introduced herself. "Owen," he replied. "Your bird is between," she noted. "Yours is landing," he responded as she settled onto the bench, not out of intent but simply because her legs needed rest. The girls gathered around, recognizing the adults were about to converse while remaining close in case of anything exciting. Nora Callahan, 36, was a mother to 4 daughters, Willa, June, Bee, and Rue, who were 7 and identical in a way that drew the gazes of strangers. They had developed a collective response to the stares they received, ranging from patient tolerance to playful annoyance, depending on the day. Nora had inked her tattoo 8 years prior, 6 months after her husband had quietly walked away, leaving her to grapple with the sudden change in her life. At 28, with infant quadruplets, her marriage had shifted into a co-parenting arrangement, leaving her future unrecognizable overnight. She needed something permanent, a symbol that belonged solely to her, so she sketched a design, a compass with a broken needle, a stem without a flower, and a bird preparing to land. A friend recommended Marco, who had studied her sketch intently before declaring, "This is the saddest happy thing I have ever been asked to put on someone." When she pressed him about others saying the same, he admitted it had happened once before, to which she replied, "What did you tell them?" He had simply said, "I'll do it right." Now sitting in the October park, she looked at Owen's arm and then at his face, contemplating the shared experience of 2 strangers who had walked out of Marco's shop with the same ink, both unaware of the connection they shared. She mentioned the broken compass. He said, "For the times when you do know where you're going." She spoke of the stem with no flower, and he replied, "For the things that haven't happened yet." When she mentioned the bird, he said, "Between, still figuring it out." She added, "Mine is landing." He responded, "So you figured it out." Glancing at her daughters, now engrossed in a pile of leaves, she said, "I figured out the most important part. The rest I'm still working on." He nodded, recognizing the significance of this moment. They paused because this encounter this morning was not mere coincidence. It emerged from a series of small, meaningful choices made by ordinary individuals unaware of the impact of their actions. There was Sylvie, Nora's neighbor during her challenging first year after the separation, who, despite her own busy life, consistently brought food and offered to care for the Bobbies so Nora could have brief moments of respite. Then there was Dr. Huang, who had suggested that children benefit from regular outdoor play, prompting Nora to create a Saturday routine that had become essential for her and her daughters over 4 years. And Felix, the barista at the coffee cart, who had started adding an extra shot to Owen's coffee without being asked, noticing his fatigue from long weeks. Each of these small acts had led to this moment in the park, where they sat together, unaware of how their lives intertwined. They conversed for an hour, moving past the tattoo after the initial exchange, sharing stories about the daughters, whose names evoked either a folk album or a law firm, provoking laughter from Nora that lit up her face. Owen described his work in carpentry and custom furniture, emphasizing the time spent understanding wood before transforming it. Nora shared her role as an occupational therapist at a pediatric clinic, balancing that with raising her 4 daughters. They discussed solitude, how it can feel heavy yet not necessarily lonely, and touched on grief, speaking candidly about their experiences, having both carried it long enough to lose their fear of the term. He shared his 2 years of grief without elaboration, and she understood it represented a profound change. In turn, she spoke of her 4 years, hinting at struggles and growth, revealing a newfound respect for herself. The girls returned intermittently to update them on their leaf explorations. Willa, who had initially pointed out the tattoo, approached again, studying his arm with the scrutiny of someone recalling a memory. "Yours is a better bird," she proclaimed. "Yours is a braver one," he countered. She pondered this and asked, "How do you know?" He replied, "Because landing takes more courage than flying." She turned to her mother, then back to him and remarked, "Mom says that too." She rejoined her sisters and Nora and Owen exchanged glances, allowing a comfortable silence to settle, appreciating the unspoken understanding it conveyed. Then Rue, the youngest, broke the moment, announcing her hunger and requesting to go to the place with good soup. "In a minute," Nora replied. Rue complained, "You always say in a minute." Nora responded, "Because it's always true." Turning to Owen, she suggested, "There's a place on the corner that makes good soup if you don't have anywhere to be." He glanced at his empty coffee cup, untouched for half an hour, and replied, "I don't have anywhere to be." As they left the park together, the 4 girls ahead in their carefree formation, Owen and Nora walked slowly, immersed in conversation, unhurried to reach its conclusion. The leaves continued to fall around them in that uniquely October manner, where gravity and time intertwined seamlessly. And sometimes, if you find yourself on the right bench at the right moment with the right tattoo, life unfolds in unexpected, beautiful ways, sparked by the innocent observations of 4 little girls in matching coats.